Hello there! Here we are with section 9.3, and today I'm going to show you, this is kind of a toughy section. Okay, so you're probably going to want to take some good notes in order to be able to do this yourself. We're going to be looking at how to graph parabolas and quadratic equations. So first up, what the heck is a quadratic equation? We are going to be looking at something that's got ax squared plus bx plus c for the most part, usually y equals. So this is a little uglier than the basic straight lines that we've been dealing with. These are those curves that I told you were coming. Okay, A, B, C, those are gonna be numbers. So we essentially are looking at a y equals equation. We're gonna have an x squared term, we're gonna have an x term, then we're gonna have some numbers floating around in there. So this would be an example right here. We have y equals x squared minus 2x minus 6. So in this case, the a term is the number in front of the x squared, so that's a 1. The b term is the number in front of the x, and so we're going to deal with that. It's a minus 2x, and so we're going to deal with that like a negative 2. And the c term is the last one, and that's a minus 6, so we're going to deal with that as a negative 6. This is what we would consider standard form if it's written in that order. And what you would find if you went through, if we made a regular old t-chart and just said, I have no idea what this graph looks like, plotted a bunch of points, if we went through and did that, we would end up finding that this graph is going to end up being a U-shaped graph, which we would call a parabola. Okay, that's the name of the shape of the graph that we're going to get. Our goal is to hopefully not have to plot a bunch of points in order to be able to graph this. I'm going to show you some rules that hold true for all parabolas. So instead of plotting points, I'm going to tell you how to find the important parts of a parabola. So if we have a parabola that we're going to graph today, it's either going to open up or it's going to open down. Okay, the either low point if it opens up or the high point if it opens down. We call that point the vertex. Now you're going to find that all of these graphs, they're perfect U-shaped graphs, meaning they are symmetric. So if I drew a dotted line, sorry, ignore that one on the bottom. If I drew a dotted line up and down through the middle of this, we would call that the axis of symmetry. It should be perfectly symmetrical on both sides of that line. It won't be like curve here and then like shoot off like that. There are some graphs that do that, but those aren't the ones that we are dealing with today. Okay, so here comes some of the tricky stuff. How do I find the vertex of my parabola? Actually, even before we do that, we got 3 things that we basically want to know to be able to graph this. First thing we want to know is, does my parabola open up or does it open down? And we can tell that just simply by looking at my a term. If my a term is a positive number, my parabola is going to open up. If my a term is a negative number, my parabola is going to open down. So right off the bat, we know that this one opens up. Okay, second thing that we want to know is, where is the vertex of my parabola? Where is that high point or that low point? Okay, now the x-coordinate of the vertex of the parabola is the opposite of b over 2a. And then I'm just going to put comma y here for a second. I'll explain that in a sec. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is find the x part of the vertex of our parabola. So it says we're going to take the opposite of b. So the b term for this parabola, or for this equation, was negative 2. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2 over 2 times a. 2 times 1 in this case. So I have 2 over 2 or 1. So I know that I'm trying to find the vertex of my parabola, the x part of that vertex is 1. Now notice over here, it's a point, so we need the y part of the point also. So to find the y part of the point, I'm going to take the x part and I'm going to put it in my equation. If x is 1, we're going to find out what y hooks up with that or matches up with that. So 1 squared is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, minus 2 times 1, so minus 2, minus 6. Okay, 1 minus 2 is negative 1, negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. So I've got 1 comma negative 7 as the vertex of my parabola. So if we start thinking about this, I've got positive 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, negative 7. I know my parabola opens up. Now the third piece that we need, So we need to decide if it opens up or down. We need to decide where the vertex is of this parabola. The third piece we need to know is the width. Because if you think about what's going on with a parabola that opens up, that has this point right here as a vertex, it could be really narrow, it could be kind of medium sized, it could be really fat, and it would all of those would have the same two parts right here. So the third piece is, how wide is this? As long as, basically, we just need to pick one point. So it's like going through saying, okay, I'm going to pick one x, find the y that matches up with it, and that'll show us the width. The easiest thing, as long as the vertex of your parabola wasn't right on the y-axis, the easiest thing to plug in is 0 for x, because if x was 0, that makes this first term a 0, makes the second term a 0, makes the third term, the c term, is going to indicate our width. And so this is showing us the y-intercept. If the y-intercept was your vertex, just pick a different value for x and plug it in, not a big deal. So in this case, we have 0, -6 as my width. And since I know I'm symmetric, so I went up 1 and over 1 that way, I go up 1 and over 1 this way. And then all we're going to do right now is what we're going to call a rough sketch of these. But on your rough sketch, make sure that I can clearly see which way your parabola opens. Show me the coordinates of your vertex. And if you want to have that right here on your graph, if you went 1, -7 there, that'd be great. And then clearly show me where your y-intercept is, please. And don't forget, I want to see all this work. Don't just throw a graph down there. I want to see how you came up with all those parts. Okay? Hope this is helpful. Have a great day, guys.